Well, hello, my lovelies, my sugar lilies, my moonflowers, my dudes, lads, and lords. We getting on to the big one. A bit of a big one tonight. I tell you, my lovelies. You know, and Tyrone, Tyrone has to say it ain't always gonna be like this, okay? Like once we get through the muck and the mud and we get to the trial, then illumination will start happening, my babies. Illumination, because we just don't know. Just keep that in mind. We all trying to get to the trial. That's all we want to see. In a perfect world, there wouldn't be one, but we know that's not going to happen, unfortunately, guys. So that's just not going to happen. you know. Yeah, if the world was fair and righteous and just, there wouldn't be a trial because there's just not enough evidence. And actually, again, guys, you know this. All more evidence points to other people than some lone wolf hiding out in the bushes, right? With a kill kit. Give me a break. You know what I mean? It's so stupid. But we just got it. We got to get to the trial, and all the things will be laid out on display, hopefully, and then we finally understand what's what. That's right. That's what we're doing, right? There's so many themes that run throughout this case, and I don't know what other people are covering, guys. Sometimes I watch, sometimes I don't. Sometimes when I do watch, I just get so irritated and frustrated that people are making mountains out of molehills here, all right? But my mind keeps going back to various themes in this case, trying to follow what we know and not get diverted. That's what mostly, I don't know. I see a lot of diversion, but whatever. Themes. We already know two of them. One is distancing from the crime by the lovely friends, my so-called friends, who don't even bother to check on me to see if I'm okay, right? Those are the kind of friends I really need in my life. The ones that don't bother to check to make sure I'm not breathing or I'm breathing, right? Fuck you, Prime. Fuck you, Prime. And number two, sanitizing. We already know those themes. Okay? But then we have another one. That's called, and this is going to be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow for some of you out there, but I don't really care. You either like it or you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I want to tell you something right now, Master Nature. I ain't begging for nobody. You come aboard the train or you don't come aboard the train. I'm not here to placate anybody. All right? And that's a good word. Look that up. It's called placate. And I'm not here to placate anybody. So you either like it or you don't. Okay? I hope you like it, But if you don't, hey, I'm not going to sit here and fucking babysit anybody. That's for damn sure. All right? I love yous, but hey, the master have his limits. So the third theme. Now I don't know how to phrase this to make it eloquent, but I call it fake survivors. That's the third theme. Fake survivors. I didn't know another way of putting that eloquently, but that's what we see. Fake survivors. As contrast, and since the MSM wanted to try to paint a picture. Oh, they're always trying to paint a goddamn picture, aren't they? The MSM is like a bad version of Van Gogh. Like a horrible version of a beautiful artist, right? Absolutely. But they tried to paint the lone wolf, and they tried to connect him to other famous serial unalivers, particularly one by the initials of TB or Mr. Ted. which failed, thank God. But we're talking about fake survivors. Okay? That's the theme. Nobody, these two, were not hurt in any fashion. Now, I'm going to point something out to you. I'm going to contrast this because the MSM tried to pin this on the wolf, Mr. BK, as being a Bundy freak or some sort of Bundy fanatic, even though he's a criminology major, for fuck's sake. That's what he does. That's what the criminology major does. He majors in criminals. Oh my God. Now, I wanted to highlight two actual survivors. Actual, real survivors. Survivors who endured an attack, a real attack from a real wolf, not some phony made up sacrificial lamb. And the lamb is not lying down on Broadway tonight, baby, okay? And the lamb is not lying down on Broadway until the end of this whole goddamn mess. I'll tell you that right now. But anyway, actual survivors. So let me point out a little thing to you. These two faces that you see, these are actual survivors of a lone wolf. Yes, they are. Lisa and Margaret, they are actual survivors of a lone wolf. A real wolf. Okay? And you know what they did? Do you want to know what these two actual survivors did? They had enough courage and guts and determination to come back to Tallahassee to testify against the real wolf. They had enough nerve and guts, even though they were brutal. They were brutalized, these two. These two were brutalized, guys. Not some fake bullshit that we see in this case. All right? And they came back and they stuck it to the wolf. You know what? And they didn't even see the wolf. They didn't even see the wolf. We're not talking about fake masks. We're not talking about fake firemen. We're not talking about eyebrows or bullshit or nonsense like that. No, we're talking about a wolf, a real wolf that's going to come into your house and is going to do what it's going to do to you. Not this bullshit that we see in Idaho, Moscow. Now, that's a sharp contrast, but it's true. It's absolutely true. These two are survivors. I'll tell you what, they have more balls than I ever would ever have balls in my life. They survived a horrific attack. They were beaten badly. They suffered great injuries, these two. And they still came back and testified in the courthouse. They testified in Tallahassee. They showed their courage and grit and guts. And they stood up to the lone wolf, the real wolf, and they didn't back down. And they didn't even see anything, guys. Now you want a contrast. That's your contrast. That you just saw is a contrast between what we see in that and this. We don't see that. We see two and one prime suspect hiding, distancing, sanitizing, getting their story straight, trying to make a 911 call seem plausible. This is all fake and bullshit. Do you want me to contrast it again to the real wolf? This is a real wolf, guys. These two are victims of a real wolf. All right, Stanley? Stanley gets irritated and angry when he sees stuff like this. Ay. So, anyway, that's what we call a contrast. Now, I want to get into something else. If the Prime and the Hobbit testify through a fucking Zoom video, well, you know what? We need to see if that happens. And I'm telling you this right now, my lovelies and lads and lords. If they testify through Zoom, which they're going to do because these two are cowards. These two are not survivors. They're cowards. Yeah. And one of them is one of the biggest cowards. She's the Prime. So, of course, she's not going to come back. But if they testify through Zoom, then they need to be, guess what, guys? They need to be in another courthouse. Okay? I don't know if you know that or if anybody's talked about it. I don't really give a fuck at this point because Stanley is pretty angry at this point, all right? Stanley, the twink they call me. And Stanley was a lone wolf. Don't you understand that? Stanley was a lone wolf. Anyway, they have to be in another courthouse. There needs to be another judge watching their testimony. Okay? They can't be just sitting in their goddamn fucking living room on a on a Tuesday afternoon drinking a fucking a Borg and testifying from their comfy sofa. No. They actually need to be in another courthouse in front of a judge to make sure that what their testimony isn't being fucked with or tampered with or scripted or people feeding them things to say. They just can't be sitting in their goddamn living room, eating fucking popcorn. Okay? That's how fucking lazy and cowardice these two are. Fuck hell they are. Now, I'm not going to contrast it again for you. I already showed you the contrast. I showed you the contrast between real survivors of crimes of this magnitude and fake survivors. Bullshit. A lone wolf, BK, a lone wolf is not going to come into your house and look at you from 3 feet away and just go tell you, hey, why don't you go in your fridge and grab your favorite beverage while I walk out the front door. Meanwhile, before I walk out the front door, I noticed that you have a bloody footprint in front of your door, Miss Dillon, and I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to clean it up, and then I'll leave. Okay? Guys, I love you all. But I hope at this point, through my I don't know how many fucking videos I did now. A lot. That this is what we call pure absurdity. Absolutely. And there's no way around this. If you're a critical thinker, which all of you, most of my garden is, there's no way to get around pieces of information without blowing your mind out. There's no way you're going to do it, guys. And all these people watching these other channels, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. I don't understand it. Whatever. But I'll tell you one thing right now. We in a New York fucking groove, baby. All right. I love you all. We're going to do one more later. Hey, listen. We get to 500, or we don't get to 500, okay? Either way, whatever's going on, whatever you... Listen, it doesn't matter in the long run what the number is, as long as we get to what is real and what is true. All right, I love you all, babies. Okay, we're going to talk later. Tyrone, love you. Bye-bye.